Well done. Puede haber Pakowski. Centra. And Riga
Welcome to the Latvian Football Podcast, where today we'll be discussing the national team break. We'll talk about the Latvian national team, introduce it to all the newcomers, and discuss the two games that were played over the past 2 weeks. One against the Republic of Ireland, a friendly, and the other one, the serious thing, a EURO2024 qualifier against Wales in Cardiff.
Yeah, exactly. Quite an interesting international break for Latvia, for the Latvian team. 2 games played, 2, I'd say, interesting results. And let's definitely talk about the national team. And we can start with the selection, the players that were taken for this international break.
The selection is always a topic that is sensitive with this current coach.
That is true.
That is one simple reason that he is extremely conservative.
Mixed feelings about this one. Well, overall, I can say that, in my opinion, still can't really decide on the coach, Dainis Kazakevich, Latvian national team coach. For those who don't know, he's never really been a player or like a coach of a huge team. He has coached Jelgava in their, I think, just before their prime days, and he has coached the youth national teams of Latvia. But it was a bit of a surprise that he started coaching the national team. A lot of people were very doubtful of him and of the whole process of selecting the national team coach, because he's always been also involved in the Latvian Football Federation in different positions. So a lot of people thought it's just, a cop-out, a bit of a cop-out to just pick him because it's easy. But overall, I don't think anyone can really say too much bad things about what he's done with the team.
Certainly not about results. The team has come out of a somewhat lengthy period of slump, where we found ourselves in the bottom of the League of Nations, not really able to progress, but now promotion to Division C, which is exciting and long overdue. But at the same time, it's this weird thing where you sort of really dislike the perceived or this almost, well, it's not apparent stagnation because there's nothing apparent about it, but yeah, it's this perceived stagnation where it's always highly predictable, same players playing same positions regardless of their performance in their clubs, really. But the results, I suppose, speak for themselves. They are coming in. Maybe it's not the most exciting football, but it's defensively solid, and it seems to work, at least on the level that he had to work on.
That is true. I sort of like that he's consistent with the players and the starting 11, but at the same time, it's a bit frustrating because we're getting good results. Even the last qualifiers, okay, like we didn't win a lot, but there were no embarrassing results, even against Netherlands and Norway. So that seemed sort of nice because previously we lost, I think, 6-0 to Slovenia, I think, and there were a lot of awful results. So in terms of that, there's some consistency, which we like, but yeah, my problem is that I think it could be even better if he chose the actual best players. Of course, it's always debatable, but I don't think he's too objective. I think it's a fact that he chooses the players which are the easiest for him. The sort of players who won't really talk back to him, don't have too much of an opinion, and just are always sort of on the same wavelength, which is good at times, but at the same time, for me, it's a bit frustrating because I think he could pick at least 4 players, 3-4 players for the national team, which could be a big of an improvement, I think.
Well, I guess this then begs the question of, is it really then a place for the best players? The best, I suppose, measured by their club performances? Or is it about building a team that you can manage as a manager, and then that team bringing results?
That is true.
And that sounds like a proper philosophical question on how to manage a team. Or what even is the purpose of the national team? We're not talking about clubs here. It's supposed to be a collection of people who represent the level of football in the country. But then, is it the sum of its parts, or is the whole greater than that?
Yeah, that's another good point, and I think there could be long discussions about it. There's no universal answer to this, I think. But yeah, you raise a good point. But yeah, the whole thing is that he's not okay. There's players that are sort of that he will never pick just because of the sort of the overall disagreement between them. At the same time, he sort of is trying to implement younger players into the team, but then again, he's not really playing them, and that's also kind of frustrating. There's a lot of players who have been called up for the previous 3 international breaks and still haven't made a debut, and that's also I don't know. It's always frustrating to talk about the national team. So I guess I can start naming it. I know some players. I think the goalie selection is completely fine. 3 best goalkeepers at the moment.
Yep, Steinbors from RFS, Ozol's from Aude, and Purinc, the youngest of the bunch, by far.
Yeah.
for Riga FC. Yeah, no problem. I think Matrevic is not there, who would probably take the spot of Purinc because he's injured, and same goes for the Liepaja goalkeeper, Zviedris.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of goalies, I think we have a lot of good goalies, so it will be fine either way, whoever he picks. Steinbors is getting a bit old, but still solid between the sticks, and I'm not too concerned about if he can't play. Putting in was also Purinc. I'm sure they will do fine. Even Purinc, who has not played a game for the national team yet, I'm sure it will be fine. Not too worried about the goalkeepers. Then moving on to defenders, there's, I think, already one of the biggest, one of the biggest pains for me at least. He has taken some youngsters. Emils Birka, for example, still hasn't played a game. Daniels Balodis played half against Ireland. I guess he did all right. He's not even that young anymore as well, 24 years old. But not really playing them. And then there's the big question, is that he's taken a lot of players who are reserve players for their club, or RFS namely, and there's even 3 of them. Kaspars Dubra, Mārcis Ošs, Vladislavs Sorokins.
And Kaspars Dubra, according to the coach of RFS, is a 5th central defender. That is his position in the squad, which translates to we were looking for a new club for him. He hasn't played a minute this season yet.
Yeah, and that's also a frustrating thing that he was very good. He's played a very high level. He's even played in Champions League against Barcelona, I think, which just shows that it's weird that he's the 5th choice, but that's okay. In the club, it can make sense. But the problem with that is that there's 2 players. Well, we don't know the exact sort of sequence of the defenders in RFS, but one player who's not taken to the national team, sort of in front of him, Vitalijs Agodinskis, I think that's recently been the biggest talking point, that he's not been taken. But I think it's quite obvious that he will never be taken because he's made some comments on Twitter about the national team coach, namely calling him
it's very, very juicy.
Yeah, calling him a PE teacher, pretty much.
Yeah, and saying that he is someone who watches football from an airplane.
Yeah, and that he's taking the players who are just comfortable for him. Which is, I think all of these comments are quite fair. Then again, the team is showing better results than before. But still, I think that's completely fair. I think he should be there. He should be the starting center back in terms of quality. But of course, then there's the other side, which is the sort of gelling of the team, the chemistry, the vibes inside. and if if the coach knows that he will be, a hindrance for it. I mean, fair enough, not taking him, but still, I think a lot of fans would just want to see him for just one international break and see if really they cannot make it work because, well, I think he's quality. I think the best Latvian center back at the moment.
I agree. It's interesting how he would play with Chernomordis. But hey, who was the other central defender in the previous national team call-up? Who was it, Chernomordis, and who was he paired with?
Mostly with Kaspars Dubra, but in these games...
Oh yeah, Dubra was...
Yeah, Dubra. When he was... in the previous qualifiers, at least, he was still playing for Alexandria, Ukrainian team. But yeah, the last Nations League, he was already the reserve player of RFS. And yeah, then there's also, in terms of who's not taken and showing great quality at the moment, for me, at least, Vyacheslav Sisayevs. And he's also an interesting case because it's not known for sure, but perhaps the reason he's not taken to the national team is because when he was an under-21 and Danis Kazakevich was the coach, he was one of, I think, like 3-4 players that sort of broke the internal rules. And I think they got drunk and sort of broke curfew or something like that after a win against a very, I think, Liechtenstein or something, a very small country. And it was like only a 1-0 win. And I think ever since then, him, and there's also, I think, Karashauskas was one of them, and I think Rakels as well, sort of players in his, how to say that, in the naughty list, let's say that. So that's perhaps a reason why he's not taken, but at the same time, I think Vyacheslav Sisayevs has shown that he's a professional, he's grown, and I think he's showing really good football at the moment. And if you don't take Yagodinskis but take Isayevs, for me, he still goes in the starting lineup because he's been really good, well, last season, start of this season. I see no reason why you shouldn't take him, yet Danis Kazakevich does not take him.
Has a long memory, clearly.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Which is, I guess, a lesson to all you young footballers that you never know who's going to be the national team coach. Maybe it's your current under whatever team coach. So behave.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
But I'm for even all these players that are not there, Isayevs and Yagodinskis, and I agree that I think they would make a significant difference. Especially Yagodinskis. He's been holding the line for RFS in Europe really well. He's getting older, he's not as fast, but still excellent player. But even with all that in mind, the person who did get called up this time for the first time since I think 2 years ago, Marcis Osh, he did really, really, really well, I think.
Yeah, I have to agree. So against Ireland, one half was played by Balvads, the other by Marcis Osh. Marcis Osh, a much more experienced player, also in the RFS reserves. But I think I heard, I think it was Verpakovskis after the first half against Ireland in the sort of halftime studio. He said that actually Marcis Osh proved himself really well in the preseason camp for RFS, and apparently there were some debates even before the start of the season whether he's the first choice center back, well, Latvian center back, or the Yagodinskis. So apparently he's been playing well, and Kazakevich also went to all of these camps and the friendlies, so he saw him playing. So I guess it makes sense using him. And also because of the experience, he was much better than Balvads against Ireland and got the start against Wales for the qualifier. And I have to agree, he did well, which goes down to the experience, of course. But at the same time, I'm not sure why Danis Kazakevich doesn't want to use Elvis Stuglis in the defense.
Maybe he's a reserve forward or something. Stuglis does make mistakes. He's a bit sloppy. He can be a bit sloppy. He can be brilliant, and he is able to score goals that matter, especially at times that matter most.
Yeah.
But he, like, sometimes you watch him and it seems like I don't know. There's a little bit shakiness there lately.
I guess that is true. Yeah, but overall, I think
I think when RFS was playing, I don't remember who, but in the conference league, I mean, one of the goals was, I think even two. I think there was one penalty because of Stuglis, handball in the penalty area, and I think another one was a positional mistake.
that's also true. I think he started one game. I don't remember whether it was the no, it wasn't Baltic Cup. One of the Nations League games, or maybe even friendly. I don't think he was bad, but yeah, I think it's just because he can be a forward as well. It's a bit of a weird one. So because he's not that stable, I guess he's just called up for deep backup, and also because I think he's a really like a good guy, nice guy, always supportive. So I guess that's good for the chemistry of the team. So I can see
definitely.
that. Yeah,
charismatic. Yeah, the nice guy.
Yeah,
looking, judging from the interviews and press conferences.
Yeah, and also, of course, Kaspars Dubra that we mentioned is called up, but I think first of all, I think he did lose competitively against other center backs, but I think he was sick as well. I don't think he was even in the squad list for the qualifier game. So that's the center back picks. But the other bone I have to pick, and I think it's the biggest bone to pick, is the left back position, and namely Vladislav Sorokins. Might be a bit harsh here, but I wouldn't even call him up. I know there's not a lot of other choices, but I'm not. I've never really rated him. It seems that he's lacking a lot of confidence because anytime he's on the ball, it seems shaky. It seems like he doesn't know what to do with it. We conceded 2 goals in these 2 games because of him, and a bit of a mystery to me because, okay, I know for the first game, for the friendly, the main left back of the national team, Jurkowskis, I think he was either injured or sick, so he didn't play.
He was sick, yes.
Yeah. And it was known that before the qualifiers, he was better and he was training with the team, so he was fit to play, but he didn't start. Sorokin started, didn't play well, and then Jurkowski came on for the second half. But I don't know, because even against Ireland, Sorokins wasn't too good. And I don't understand why wouldn't Dan Kazakevich then sub him off in the friendly and try someone new, for example, Emil Zbirka, who's been called up several times, still hasn't debuted, 22 years old. Why not put him on? And that's another issue I have with the coach. That he's taking these players but not trying them out and then putting the worst player on. Again, frustrating.
I don't value Sorokins as low. My main issue with him is that he seems to be unpredictably inconsistent.
Yes.
There are games where he comes on and it just shows the real class. And maybe he's more of an attacking wing-back, which might not suit the style of the national team as well, but he can cross really well, and he is determined, and he can run, and he can bite into the ball. But then there's games where, kind of like these games, where he's kind of there, but is very... Whenever the ball gets into that zone, it's just, you start kind of getting closer to the edge of your seat and then getting all, tightening up from, oh, please don't just do something silly, kind of a thing. And friendly goal was his zone, and then the one that mattered against Wales, that was 100% on him.
Yeah, well, you said that he's more of an attacking wingback, but I don't think he's that attacking. Savelnik's on the right-hand side and Jurkowski's, his replacement, are much more attacking. And they seem to fit well in the team. But I agree about inconsistency. That is one of the major things. And that's why I don't understand the pick in the starting 11 to use Sorokins, because of the inconsistency. I think, especially in the national team, what you need is consistency. So that's a bit mind-boggling. And Tonishevs, for example, he's been called up as a midfielder, and the coach is also very sort of he won't really change his mind in terms of positions because Tsiganiks and Jaunzems as well have an experience being wingbacks. But he won't use them there. If he calls them up as midfielders in the list, in the picture, if they're shown as midfielders, they will be used as midfielders, and same for Tonishevs. He sees him as a midfielder, so he just won't put him in left back. But I agree that that's also ridiculous because I'm not sure why the coach can't be more flexible and use them there. For example, if Yurkovskis really couldn't play, why not adapt and put Tsiganiks as left back? He has experience there. He's played in the Europa League there even. So what's the problem? And there's definitely options for the left wing position. Yeah, but that's the conservative side of the coach. He has his players, his style, and he just won't change it. Sticks to it till the end.
In Football Manager, Tsiganiks is primarily a wingback. He's not a midfielder by
there
rating.
You go. And Football Manager knows best.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so in the midfield positions also some players that we didn't really get to see. As we mentioned, Tonishevs. Then there's the newly called up Edward Dashchevich. It's a first call-up. It makes sense that we didn't see him. Edward Samsis, I think, also was sick. But I think his playing time in his club in Albania, of all places, is also really low. So it makes sense that he didn't play. Davis Ikonik, did he come on against Ireland? I think he did, but for like a couple of minutes only.
He did, yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, Jaunzems did come on. Saveljos also only briefly. Varslavans was good when he came on.
He was good against Ireland. He was not great against Wales. But it's the thing with him, same as what I talked about when we were discussing him before, that he's nervous. And you could see that he has the skill, he has the passion, but then he just kind of gets a little bit overwhelmed at times, and then, ball goes nowhere. I guess time will sort of develop him, hopefully. But yeah, I kind of... It's same with Krolis, to be fair. I know we're not talking about the strikers yet, but I have the exact same takeaway after these two games about Varslavans as for Krolis. So lots of potential, very interesting players, love to see them. But on this stage, they just kind of come on and disappear. Krolis more so than Varslavans. And you could really tell that he is lacking match practice. Like his ball reception was sloppy and didn't really contribute much. Varslavans takes the ball, runs, dribbles past a bunch of people, finds himself in front of the goal, looks up. There's a bunch of people around from both teams, and then he just goes and shoots the ball basically over the stands, out of the stadium, kind of a thing. And then you're left wondering, like, why would you do that when you could have literally done any other thing and it would have probably had a greater effect?
Yeah, true. I do agree. But yeah, overall in terms of midfielders, that's I think one, the position where there's... I guess all the positions are the positions where there's really no debate about who starts. But in the middle, there's sort of this duo already, Zuzins and Tobers, which is also an interesting one. They're both good players. They play regularly for the teams, namely Lechia, Gdańsk, and RFS. Zuzins especially, I think he's a very important player for the national team because he's creative and I think he's a bit of a unconventional player, and that's good for our team. And Tobers is
He's the only playmaker we have, I think.
Kind of. Ikonik should be one, but he's just not being one.
Ikonik is still in Finland, it seems. But Zuzins, he's the only guy who can create something, it seems. But that's, not to be unfair to him. And this was like his 60th cap, I think, against Wales. But as far as world-class playmakers go, he's not really there, unfortunately. But he's the best we have, which I think central midfielder, this playmaker is the position that we as a nation struggle the most with. we have decent attackers now. We have good defenders. We have excellent goalkeepers. Wingers, okay, some were a little bit better than elsewhere, but central midfield is just not there.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Ikonik still big in Finland. Not even there because he was good in Finland. He's still in off season or something.
Oh,
Just yeah, I don't know
Burn.
what him with him, but yeah. But yeah, in terms of the central midfielders, I do agree. Tobers is a very hardworking player, always fights, but not really skillful. There's no, I don't know, like pleasant technique. Like
there's
he's
no
good.
flair.
Yeah, exactly. He's good and we can use him, but yeah, we still lack something. The other option is who's played a lot, Edward Samsis. I think he's something between both of them. Just doesn't really offer a lot. He's not bad, but just we do lack something. Then I think he maybe it's not really appropriate for the formation we use, which is basically a 4-4-2, maybe a 4-4-1-1. Aldrich is sort of dropping a bit deeper with the two strikers, and in that sense, it makes sense to have one sort of hard worker, Tobers, and a bit more of a playmaker in Zuzins. But if we sort of take that away and imagine that Diana at some point could change up the formation, I would like to see Saveljevs, for example, in the starting lineup because he's been very good this season, pretty consistent last season as well. He also doesn't really show a lot, but more technical than Tobers, for example. So I think he should deserve a bit more playing time. Then you could also argue Alvis Jaudzems can play in the central midfield. In his club, he's played really everywhere. Wingbacks, central midfield. Well, in the wings, not that often, but this is where Dynasty is him. Another player whose position at the national team is different from the one in the club. A weird one. Then there's also I want to mention another player who's not been called up that I would like to see because I think he's the perfect combination of Zuzins and Tobers. That's Daniel Sulimbashevs. I know he's a bit old now. Well, not that old, but older than the most national team players, and he's never really been called up lately. But at the same time, he's playing some brilliant stuff at the moment, and I just think he would be a huge improvement in the central midfield, which is our weakest position.
Yeah. Then you can switch formation to 4-1-4-1, have Tobers as an anchor, which is where he arguably is most comfortable as. So very defensive midfielder. And then Zuzins and Olimbashevs in the middle.
Yeah, but at the same time, that only leaves one striker, which probably we would agree would be Gutkovskis. But at the same time, I can't also deny that the two strikers, Uldrichs and Gutkovskis, works because Uldrichs can fight for the ball in the air and on the ground, and then Gutkovskis can take it and drive with it. But at the same time, it's only because of that we only really have long passes and hoping for something, a very vertical football, but not in the best sense. And that's why I think Ulimbashevs could be a good player. And I'm just, again, frustrated that Danis won't even at least try to call him up and maybe fit him in. I don't agree with him that the players at his age, I'm not sure how old he is, I think around 30, 32 maybe. I don't agree that means that he can't play for the national team anymore. I think all the big countries, and of course we're not a big country, but there's a lot of players who make their debut in quite late on, and they seem to be doing just fine. And yeah, I just don't agree. Why can't we try that? Because if you see that he's playing good, and I don't think he has even any beef. I don't think he has any beef with the national team coach, apart from other players that we have mentioned. So yeah, and I don't know why he won't get called up. Again, sad to see because I just think he could be an improvement. And if we're already doing better, then sometimes I think we should be doing. It just seems that we could be doing even better if only the coach sort of got over his pride.
Or whatever it is. Maybe that's not pride. I don't know. But, I mean, that's really the meat of the matter. Like, we'll never know until we try. And it seems that we'll never try. So we'll never know. But what you said, actually, about strikers, that's another point. Like, okay, so if our midfield is so deficient with respect to the talent pool, well, fine, then why not play something like 4-2-4 and just ping-pong the ball back and forth around the field? As we discussed, we have very decent strikers, and Uldrich is very good at catching the ball and holding on to it and even wrestling it away from the other team. But these games showed, and anytime we play halfway decent team, it's also very visible that the way we play is flanks and long passes. Midfield is just unable to distribute the ball, hold on to the ball, buckles to pressure, can't combine passes, the ball doesn't move quickly, first touch is missing. It's not good. It's not good. And then that begs the question, well, okay, let's try something else. Let's overload flanks. Let's just, anything. But therein lies the problem again, that, 4-4-2, this squad plus 4 other players who will be subbed pretty much at prescribed periods of time in every game. And there we are. But with results. So highly, highly conflicting situation to be in as a fan.
Yeah, and to contradict myself a bit, I also fully realized that, well, we still, even though I mentioned some players, we do lack resources to sort of play a more beautiful football, like more on the ground. One Olin Bashevs in the midfield won't really change that. So in that term, again, you could understand this, and because it's a national team, you can't just start playing good football on the ground. You you need more practice, and you don't get that with the national team. So yeah, just it's always difficult with the national teams, especially such teams as Latvia, where we do have some good players, but overall lack the quality. And then it's just frustrating because in my mind we can play better, but then we only do long passes. But then again, we don't really show bad results.
All right, what do we think about the attacking trio of Gutkovskis, Krolis, and Uldritis?
Quickly, before moving to the attacking trio, also quickly, when talking about midfield, just wanted to mention that a very, very sad case of Martin Stigurs, which I think would be the best improvement for the national team, who unfortunately tore his ACL again. In pre-season, he tore it last season as well, maybe for the listeners, because he's not really been playing and they won't know who he is. I think, without a doubt, the most technical Latvian player, very skillful, very unorthodox for a Latvian. He can actually sort of dribble past players.
Very creative as well. He's more of, I don't know, I guess he can play attacking midfielder, but I think he's normally just...
Yeah, he is an attacking one.
He's just... It wasn't in Liepa, he mainly playing just under forwards, somewhere like in between position.
Yeah. So
almost like a shadow striker. Then
that or either, just like attacking. That's a bit sad. I just remember in the qualifiers against Netherlands, he came on, and okay, we were already losing 1 or 2-0, but he even sort of played a bit with the Netherlands players who were playing in good teams, good leagues, and he even dribbled past them, and I think he also made a nutmeg or something. It's just nice to see a Latvian player doing that, because we don't get that often. So unfortunate about him that he can't, but I know he would be in the team because Danis always used to call him up when he was fit, but very unfortunate. And in terms of attackers, I don't think we can really dispute the picks. I think there's the 3 main strikers we have currently: Uldritis, Krolis, Gutkovskis. Looking at them now and the teams they play in, if you didn't know better, you would think that we have a very good pick of strikers. Serie A, Eredivisie, the Polish leaders.
Yeah, extra class.
Seems.
I'm concerned about Krolis. I'll be honest. I'm starting to think whether moving to Italy wasn't a mistake long term. Because, okay, so he's great in Valmiera. He was kind of green in the national team during last year's qualifiers, but, that was understandable. It's a different environment, different level. But now, in the absence of playing practice in Italy, where he is just warming the bench, I think he's probably the last pick for a striker for a team that doesn't play with many strikers and is kind of battling relegation. It just coming on, it just seems awkward. It seems like he hasn't played football for a year or so, and it's just first touch is awkward, passing is awkward. I think no shots on goal this time. No, there was this one, if you can call it that, from the left side, but that went way over.
Yeah.
And looking at that, it's like, oof, I hope things will improve, because otherwise he's not getting better. He's not even staying as good.
Yeah, of course, he didn't get a lot of playing time, so it's hard to really know. But even when he came on, for me, it seemed that he didn't even give it his all. It didn't seem like he even sprinted at his fullest
Exactly.
or tried his fullest in terms of anything.
In the game against Ireland, I got excited to see him finally. It's been a while since that 15 minutes against Napoli. He came on, he's not even running after the ball. It was like, come on, run. And I usually have this beef with Uldritis whenever I watch him play, or both for national team or for Kambur. It's like, run. Why are you just walking around leisurely, in the middle of the field? Run, press, you have long legs. This time, very much the opposite. Uldritis doing really well, very happy with him, not just because of the absolutely spectacular goal against Ireland, which is probably going to be the best goal scored in the history of Latvian national team to date, but he's just been working hard and enjoying himself. Krollis came out. It was a bit deeper, I think. He almost, I think with him we really started playing 4-4-1-1, and it's just nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, just disappointing, yeah, and frustrating as well, because I have seen him play amazingly for Valmiera, and when he came on against Napoli, it seemed quite all right. But yeah, it just was very disappointing this time, and even his mistake led to the third goal against Ireland, where he lost the ball in the middle.
That was a comedy of errors with him and
Sorokins, yeah.
Who was he trying?
Yeah. Also,
I think, no?
I think Zuzins.
Or Sorokin.
Yeah, probably Sorokins.
Yeah, we're building play, had the ball, and they just took it to our half, lost it, and then we conceded the goal, which was the winning goal in the end. It was, seriously, is this really happening? Kind of a emotion looking at that.
Yeah, and I also very much agree with what you said about Uldritis. I also usually had that problem with him. I can admit that ever since he's been starting, I've never really rated him. I always think that he's sloppy when he's with the ball. He's slow and loses it and makes the wrong choices. Sometimes even like ridiculously bad choices. But this time, well, maybe wasn't that bad with Krolls as there have been at times with Uldritis. But just speaking about Uldritis, he was very good this time. Really, like nothing to even complain about. He was hardworking. He was running up and down, and he was winning his headers and making a lot of interceptions and getting the ball back in the other team's half, which sort of got us some moments. Yeah, very good. Can't really say anything bad. And I think sort of the same with Gutkovskis. He was always hardworking every game, and maybe sometimes he lacks a bit of finishing as a striker, especially. But I think he still did his best.
Well, he's clinical in the box, but because we don't really get the ball in the box as much, yeah, it's unfortunate that he had a few amazing moments against Ireland and had a few less amazing but still moments rife with potential against Wales, and unfortunately couldn't really produce anything too dangerous, although that back heel, I don't know, like a volley that he attempted against Wales, who had that gone in, that amazing goal by Uldritis from the game with Ireland would have had some serious competition for the most beautiful goal scored. But, he didn't score, so that doesn't matter. Point is that, I kind of was a little bit disappointed with lack of effectiveness from him this time. He did some amazing dribbling against Wales. It was extremely entertaining to watch, and you could just hear the stadium gasping in fear that he's gonna score, which unfortunately he didn't, but still great to see. But just didn't find the net this time.
But yeah, well, what can you do? We didn't really have that many chances overall, so it makes sense. And we didn't even really, well, when you start speaking about attackers, we straight up said that all obvious choices, but, well, maybe you could make a point for picking an extra striker up for the national team. I think the obvious choice would be, well, maybe even two. Marko Regra, maybe. He's been doing some bits already this season, and in preseason he's been quite all right. And then there's the other choice of suddenly completely forgot his name.
Who?
Dario Šic.
Well, he's well, yeah. Where did he go?
And,
by the way.
I'm not sure. Haven't really heard of him this season, but yeah, he's playing in Serie. Well, for a Serie B.
Yeah, with Buffon.
In Italy club.
With Buffon for
Parma Calcio. Yeah, mostly playing for the.
Well, you bring up Šic, but that makes me remember another interesting young player, the Ontujans. Where is he?
Yeah, Ontujans. I think he's sort of done with the national team. I think Kazakevician explained that at some points that he himself is not really willing to play for the national team at the moment. I think he plays in like the 4th league in Germany, something like that. He's lost, but Šic plays for the Serie B club, mostly in the under 20, 21s, 23s, not sure, but he has also debuted in Serie B as well, so there's definitely some quality in him. But yeah, I'm not sure what's up with him this season. Haven't really heard of it. Maybe injured, not sure. But yeah, still, of course, the 3 best strikers were picked and quite obvious choices.
Yeah, I feel like it's 2 best strikers and Krolis at this point.
Let's hope that changes. Let's hope that changes.
Sorry, Raimis, but that's kind of how it looks at the moment, unfortunately. We do hope that that's not going to be the state of things, but it's just disappointing, as we keep saying.
Yeah, agreed.
Right, so we had 2 games, Republic of Ireland and then Wales. The 11 Wolves making their way to the Foggy Albion. I feel like last time that happened was back in the Roman times, Wolf being a symbol of the Roman Republic, going to fight the dragons. I was somewhat more successful that time than this time, but I guess ultimately the result is the same. The Wolf got kicked out, although one can make a case that's a bit different for Wales, but this isn't a history podcast, so that doesn't really matter. Point is, I think overall I'm actually pretty happy with how it went. Obviously results not so much, but in terms of what we saw on the pitch, game with Ireland, amazing goals by Uldritis and Zusens, amazing long shots. Our central defense being a bit of a Swiss cheese, but it is a friendly. And after Balodis got subbed off in favor of Osh, it did get better. And with Wales, it seems like we have a team that's optimized for defensive play, which they do well. They could do better, but usually whenever we concede, that's down to very, very singular errors. There's nothing like fundamentally compromised with the way the team functions in defense. But midfield is sad, and because of that, attacking value of the team is very, very limited. And that's sort of how both of these games went for me. excellent disciplined defense, but then not really able to put much together in terms of attack, unless it's a counterattack or just some random, loose ball that finds its way on the flank, and then Savarnieks runs and crosses it, or as in the case with Wales, Gutkovskis does a beautiful solo run.
Yeah, well, the first game against Ireland, the friendly, I can't really say I'm happy with the game, because I think the 2 goals was just a huge smoke screen for a horrible performance, especially in the first half. I think it was just really awful. So many mistakes.
First 20 minutes were a bit abysmal. Yeah, first 20 minutes horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't say that the first 2 goals that we conceded were like huge mistakes. They were just normal goals where we sort of just switched off for a moment. So can't really say much about that. But when we did have the ball and tried to go on attacks, so many mistakes in passing, and especially on the left side where Sorokins played. Was always nervous when the ball was sort of in his area. But yeah, overall, the second half was a bit better. Still didn't have that many chances apart from the goals we scored. Of course, as you mentioned, Udrich's amazing long shot. Didn't think he had it in him. I don't think even he himself thought he had it in him, and I think he won't score such a goal again in his life.
I'm sure he thought he had it in him. I think if you ask him, he'll tell you that that's all he has in him. Assuming this Jesus of Rio de Janeiro pose after scoring it, I'm sure he would disagree.
Well,
but
he thought that, and later on in the game, he was sort of in the same position where he really should have passed, but I think his confidence got the better of him, and he shot a poor shot on the just quite weak and just in the keeper's hands. Overall, amazing goal. It also went around the internet, well, namely Twitter. Even some sort of bigger accounts posted the goal. And I really liked a lot of Ireland fans saying that nice goal, but the other keeper, who's not Kelleher, who was in the goal, saves it. I thought that was a bit funny. I think
I was not impressed with the reaction of Irish fans to this game, to be honest. It wasn't particularly elegant, let's put it that way.
I do agree. Naming our players sort of amateurs, milkman and some sort of that sort of stuff, which is, well, not true. The Latvian team is a professional team. But yeah, I do agree. Then there's also the Zuzin's goal. A bit lucky, of course, but still the fact that he did try and did have a shot resulted in a goal. And it seemed a bit weird when he scored. I was like, we are playing bad, but somehow we're drawing 2-2 against Ireland, which is a good team. A bit of a weird moment. But then, of course, soon enough, a very comedic goal that we conceded. I don't know what was Sorokins doing when the ball rebounded onto him, and he just passed it to the Ireland player who slotted it in the empty net. I don't know, a weird goal which really summed up the game, I think. We did deserve to lose, but in the end, the score doesn't seem that bad, of course. 2-3 against the better team. Tricky, I guess, overall. And also, when a lot of people I did see were saying that the goal scored by Ulrichs was the best Latvian national team goal ever. I do realize where they're saying that, but I'm not sure why. I don't really want to agree. One that came to my mind, I'm not sure if you will remember, but there was Alexander Staunia against, I think it was Switzerland in Skonto Stadium. Also a long shot, and the ball sort of, before he shot, the ball sort of bounced a bit, and it was like a good knuckle ball. It didn't really went in the top bins as Udrich's goal did, but still, I think also a very good goal that should be up for debate for the best goal ever scored.
Everything is the best ever, as long as it's no older than a year. That's the timeline forever these days.
True, but aesthetically, yeah, the ball really just went straight in the top corner from Udrich's. And
it was just unbelievable.
I get it.
When it went in, I was like, what? How did this happen?
I didn't even sort of see it when it happened live because I almost fell asleep because of how bad the game was. But then I am hearing the commentator saying goal, and I'm opening my eyes and I see the replay, and I just in disbelief. But yeah, fair play to Udrichis and Zuzins for scoring. And I don't really remember us having many good chances that game. There are some, but nothing really comes to my mind.
Yeah. Well, I think Kutkovskis had a chance where he couldn't really make up his mind how he wants to shoot, and it wasn't 1-on-1, but there was a defender there, but he ended up sending it way into the stalls. But well, actually, he had two really good chances. I similarly cannot recall what was the other one.
That's why Gutkovskis, even though a good striker and he scores goals, I think he does have a lot of these moments when he just should do better. So he's not actually that clinical in front of the goal. He does score goals, but he could be scoring way more. Also a bit frustrating and disappointing to see. But
I think it depends on where you count the front of the goal to end.
That's also true.
He's one of those players who's not gonna shoot over the bar from 2 meters away, right? But anything further than like the penalty mark, it's the effectiveness does go down.
I think he's also done that. I think even quite recently in the extra class.
Now that I was saying that, I was like, oh, hang on.
I think recently
there was one.
I don't think he put it over, but just
it was to the left, I think.
Yeah,
just wide. Yeah.
Yeah, so it does happen to him. But still,
never mind then.
a good striker, of course. Yeah. Yeah, but that's about the Irish game. I don't think there's much more to talk about that, as it was just a friendly. But you mentioned the Wales game already. I think there's more to say about that one. First of all, I really want to say I feel proud that there are quite a lot of Latvians, well, for us at least, quite a lot of Latvian fans that went over to Wales and supported the team. And when watching the game live on TV, you could even hear our fans singing, chanting. It was quite nice to hear.
Definitely. I joined about 10 minutes in. And first I plugged into the native broadcast, so the British one. And the guy saying something and blah, 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 Wales this, Wales that. And I could just hear in the background, Latvia, Latvia. Wow, like, seriously amazing. Well done, guys. And then later I switched over to the Latvian broadcast. And just great seeing the guys who went there and on Twitter and they're posting and all the jumping and singing, and even some of the Welsh accounts kind of complimenting the Latvian fans for that. I think someone wrote that, they lost, but it seems like the Latvian fans are having a cracking time and just singing and well done and admiration and respect, and it's good to see. It's not an uncommon sight in hockey, ice hockey being the number one sport for our country, but it's really, really good to see this type of singing and support, even from numerically smaller crowds, also for football games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also saw some tweets from the Welsh fans saying that there's only like 40 of them, but they're singing louder than pretty much the Welsh fans, and they did get a lot of credit, and credit where credit is due. They were really good. Also I feel proud, and it's very good to see Latvian sort of football fan culture improving and getting bigger. And I think there are always some sort of a group of people that always went to the away games, but now you can actually hear them and see more of them online as well. And they're just getting bigger. And I think that's exactly what Latvian football needs. So very nice to see. And I think we can even see the last couple of years the fan culture improving massively, and now we can really see the benefits of it even in the European qualifier stages.
I wouldn't say massively, but I would say steadily.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. That is fair. Yeah.
At least if we're talking domestically, the what RFS brought to Riga with the Conference League group stages, that was amazing to see. That The main stadiums, Skonto Stadium, sold out pretty much for every home game. That was great. Last year, the Riga Derby, the one that was in summer at some point, Skonto Stadium almost sold out. Rare to see, but amazing when it does happen. Just wish it would happen more often. Especially, I recall Yuri Zhigayev talking on his show, the former national team player, that people go to these conference league games and they're like, wow, this is amazing, great football, great atmosphere. But then he made a point that, well, football is fine. Some of the football in Virslīga is better, but just this aspect of there being a loud and singing body of fans in the stands who are supporting the team, the emotions are flowing, that makes a big difference. So when people say that, well, Virslīga games are not that exciting, well, maybe they should go in larger numbers and they will get more exciting because your experience will get more exciting from, singing and there's, I really love that in Latvian there's this word for, that's kind of missing in English. In English you have fans, you have supporters, you have spectators. But in Latvian you have this word līdzjutēji, which literally translates to like co-feelers or like co-experiencers, something like that. It's something between fans and supporters. And the point is that, you go and then you co-experience the game with players and other people, and it gets more exciting. But anyway, I digress. Where were we?
We
were that Latvian fans are louder, and yes.
Yeah, just wanted to quickly agree to your point that if the amount of people that went to the conference league games went to, for example, Supernova against Daugavpils, and there was the same atmosphere, they would also say, it was great, despite the football. So I totally agree that it's just up to the people, up to the fans to go to the games and improve the environment in them, and then that's how we progress as a footballing country. But in terms of the game, I think we have covered the fans fan section. There was a lot of them that were good. They were singing and chanting. But the game also interesting against Wales. Couple of bigger names in the team. For example, Aaron Ramsey. I think everyone knows who he is, captaining the Welsh side. So some bigger names to play against, already more interesting to watch. And I think overall we did held our own. We looked much better than against Ireland. Didn't concede that early on. We even had some chances ourselves.
Definitely. And there was a period towards the end of second half where we even pressed Wales against their penalty box and didn't even lose the ball right away. That was very exciting to see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we even controlled the ball a bit, towards the end of the game. And of course, the first half, they were sort of in control of the game, moving the ball around. But they didn't have that many chances, I think. There were a couple of them that Steinbosch saved. And they scored just in the last minutes of the first half from a cross. Kiefer Moore, I think he was overall very, very good on the day. But I left above Sorokin's, and a lot of people say that it is his fault, and of course it is. He could have done more, just jumped and sort of tried to make it harder for more. But of course it's not only his fault. Also Savelnik's, and I think Tobers, who led the cross in, even a bit of a disappointing goal because it wasn't that good of a goal. The cross wasn't also that sharp. It was a bit floaty, so the striker had a lot to do in the air to sort of get enough power on the ball to direct it in the corner, which he did. So fair play to him, but I think it was very avoidable, and that's also frustrating because it was an avoidable goal that we conceded, and we could have scored ourselves.
The Marcis Osh shot from a corner, miraculous that it didn't go in. I thought that was going in, to be honest, but that there kudos to the Welsh keeper for reacting. I mean, maybe if it was like a little bit more to the left, then it would have been a goal, but still technically difficult. Kind of lots of people around, can't see it.
I think it was almost the same as the first big chance for Wales. Also coming in from a cross, player sort of volleying it with his inside of the foot, and keeper sort of saving with the legs. I think it was same for us and Wales as well. So similar chances, both not scored, but we did have the chance, and then we did attack some more as well in the first half. There were some moments when one specific moment where Gutkowski swung for the ball, but he missed, and then I think it was Ikonex or Juzins who shot it, and we got a corner. Yeah, just a couple of chances. Then Tobers from corner as well with his head could have done better.
It was a bit weak, but no, he missed it even. Yeah, it went wide.
Yeah, if it went to the far post, maybe someone could have headed it in.
He was around 12 meters out, although completely unmarked. I mean, Wales won, but I mean, even looking at stats, I mean, 15 shots for Wales versus 8 for us, 5 shots on target for Wales versus 3 for us. Yeah, they had loads more possession, partly because they're Wales and partly because of all the mistakes in the midfield that we already discussed earlier. Like I'm looking now at the stats, 648 completed passes for Wales versus only 255 for us. But even with that, other than possession, I mean, the story it tells is just that it was not an easy game for them, and it could have been a draw just as well. And we could have even possibly won had the dice rolled a little bit differently on that night.
Yeah, exactly. If you really look past the fact that they had more possession and passes, and the fact that, of course, they can't play on the ground, and we not really. If you look past that, it was two similar teams playing. It didn't feel like we're the massive underdogs in the game. So yeah, that's why the result is can't be too sad about it. But yeah, just the fact that it could have went a bit better if we were a bit more lucky and scored one or just didn't concede one.
That's the thing. We're good defensively, but you can't win games by being good defensively. And that's kind of, I think, where the big issue is, that we just don't score that well.
Yeah, no, especially against sort of bigger countries. In the Nations League, I was even surprised with our scoring. We managed to score a lot of goals.
3 past Moldova, I think, right? There was like four even, yeah, and some good ones like the Ikonex, that strike.
Yeah, exactly,
that was amazing. Where is he? Where is he now? Is the question I'd like an answer to.
Yeah, probably the most disappointing player of this international break.
I feel like so far, pretty much every episode we're complaining about Ikonex not being there.
Yeah,
where we want him to be.
But that's just because we have much higher expectations of him, because we know what he's capable of. We're not saying this about, I don't know, Alvis Jaunzems, who subbed him and came on. Like, he did, I think, what he could, considering his level, but Ikonex just can't do much more.
Exactly.
That's why we show our frustration.
So that's the break. Next games are in June, and we'll see what happens there. We'll be playing our favorite team in the whole wide world, Turkey. Yeah,
our clients.
Yep. Whatever that means, but yep. if that still means anything, rather. But then this week we return to the Virslīga.
Yeah. So overall, I think more of a positive international break, although could have got more out of it. Some disappointments in Ikonex Krolis. Although I think when he came on against Wales, still it seemed that he didn't give it his best. But there was one specific moment where I thought he played really smart when their midfielder got the ball in their half, and then he sort of slowly ran up to him and then started sprinting and got the ball from him, and we got an attack where Varslavans could have scored. So perhaps Krolis just looks bad because he doesn't get the minutes, but maybe he just plays intelligently. Maybe we can't even understand that.
Maybe.
But still, it looks disappointing from the side, which
we want both.
An issue.
We want intelligent and technically proficient. obviously. That's why we're excited for him to be in Serie A.
But yeah, also some players which I want to point out that I think played really well. I already said that Uldrichs was, I think, surprisingly good in this international break. Susan's always trying his best, although there are still some mistakes. But yeah, I wanted to point out Chernomordis. I think especially against Wales, he seemed like just a very good center back that could play in, well, not top 5 leagues, but definitely top 10 in Europe. Didn't really make any mistakes. He was very aggressive. I think he had sort of a duel against keeper Moore. There are even some bad tackles and MMA style of
there was a takedown there.
Yeah, but other than that, he won his aerial duels and was good on the ball, off the ball. So yeah, wanted to point him out. I think he did really well. Yeah, still quite young and already the captain of the Latvian national team. Hope that in the near future he also maybe tries his luck somewhere else outside of Latvia, because yeah, really impressed me. And Steinbors, of course, as well.
Steinbors, I feel he's still warming up. He's still doing these weird things that are really not necessary. Like that when he went to collect the ball and the ball...
With the hand.
and then the ball kind of started turning away from the penalty box, so then he just had to kind of like dive head first and put it past the attacker. It's like, what are you doing? Again. So I feel like he's not fully 100% yet, which worries me.
But that's off the ball. But don't think he can be blamed for any of the goals that we conceded, and also he did a couple of very good saves as well. So that's why I just want to point him out. But I think in terms of Latvian goalies, we almost each game we have some incredible saves that make them look very good. So maybe you have a good point that maybe could even be expecting more from him. Anyone else that you maybe want to point out from the international break?
I agree for sure. Chernomordis, solid center back, very strong. I remember interviews with Torsten Fink when he was describing how Chernomordis plays and that he's a strong guy. He, when he gets yellows, he gets them for fighting players. Well, like fighting in the way he should be, not for like arguing with referees or anything like that. He goes into tackles hard. Would have been great to see him paired up with Jagodinskis, but we talked about that already. No, I think I pretty much agree. For me, I think the highlight is Uldrichs.
Well, I think that's for everyone. Yeah.
Not because of goal, just because of how pleasantly surprised I was with him pulling what I would expect as a viewer to be an appropriate workload on the pitch when off the ball.
And also, I think Marcis Wash, for considering his lack of playing time and being reserved for RFS, also I think he did considerably well.
Yeah. I don't know what number he is in the RFS central defender rotation. I suspect he might be number 4 if we think that Jata is number 3, but that's not fully kind of accurate because Jata also plays wing backs and midfield. But I do hope to see him soon. Yeah.
There's also Elvis Stuglis, who last season at least always played he was above Dubra. So yeah, can't really be sure about RFS ranking. Yeah, but yeah, good point. That interesting. But I think the coach did the right choice in terms of center backs for these games at least. And let's see what happens in June. Hopefully, we see some new players debuting for the national team, and hopefully not only like the youngsters who looking promising, but maybe even some players who are actually playing good at the time and deserving the call up.